What up? It's your boy Conservist 34, and I am back again. And there was no sweet up and down tonight, but we got some other stuff. Nah, I'm just playing. Let me stop. So we're gonna bring up the set list here in a minute. And to me, my initial thoughts for this show is that it was a sound check for Deer Creek. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I did some research tonight, and my research actually showed that this show, you could argue it was a little better than what you typically get from a Deer Creek. I mean, not a Deer Creek, a middle of the week Michigan show. So, but I mean, it wasn't, I mean, there were no covers, right? You weren't over the top flooded with Come Tomorrow stuff, right? There's only one Come Tomorrow song here that we have, but it wasn't anything like, if someone was on the fence of traveling to this show, I would tell them not to travel to the show. So I got John here. Let's look at some of the comments. And I'm going to bring in my friend John Dix to talk about Deer Creek in a moment. So John says, impressive lack of effort in the set list writing tonight from Dave. So here's the thing, right? This is the worst show of the tour, arguably, as far as set list writing. But you got to remember, we're going to pull up DTE from 2019. When they come to a middle of the week Michigan show like this, they're not playing out the songbook. As a matter of fact, you can argue this show was better than the last show at this venue. So, you have a Des Moines, Iowa, right? You have special shows where in the middle of the week they're feeling motivated. Jacob was at the Charlotte show and saw Sweet Up and Down. Man, I really look forward to it. And one of the things I like about that clip is the way the balance of that, right? You have more of Dave's guitar, it sounds like, in the mix than some of the older versions here, especially with Tim Reynolds being a full-time member. I like the balance of it, and I heard it on the SiriusXM stream, and there was a nice balance to Sweet Up and Down there. And then Jacob also says Spaceman was a cool choice in the set. Every set list has its bright spots and good qualities. Talking Tunes checking in. Thank you for checking in. I know you're at work, allegedly. We're not going to tell you, but I know you're texting me. But to me, Spaceman, here's the thing about Spaceman. I think it's overrated. And I say that with the fact that I've heard Spaceman with Bradford Marsalis and with Stanley Jordan. Okay. So I've seen two guests on Spaceman, and I still don't think it's a good song. Like it's not like it to me. It's not Lying in the Hands of God. It's not Beach Ball. Like, you have some of these songs from the Big Whiskey sessions. But I will put, like, it's not Lying in the Hands of God. I really don't. I'm not a huge fan of Spaceman, even with, again, Bradford Marsalis guesting in it, and I'm in the pit. I still didn't think it. John, where's You Never Know? Where's Raven? Again, I think here's the thing. Again, it's a middle of the week show. And the thing is, too, you have to realize that some of these midweek shows that don't make the weekend, the fan base added DTE. Yes, you have some diehards that are driving to this, but they're like a Jimmy thing with the I Want a New Drug partial is going to make people go crazy, right? People who don't know DMB but know, Huey Lewis in the News, they're going to go crazy for that, right? When they did the AC/DC Back in Black, people go crazy for that. So this was catered to the market, because when I guarantee you at this show, which was pretty, it looked like this, it was amphitheater was full, lawn was pretty packed. I guarantee you at the show, people were hype, right? Oh, those have gone missing. Okay, so you're saying those have gone missing. Yeah. But again, I think the reality is this. We'll talk with John in a moment about Deer Creek. That's where you're going to see it. Deer Creek Gorge, Guilford, New Hampshire for 2 nights, where they bust out some rarities. I was just at that venue for Chris Stapleton, and they always do a great thing. Talking Tunes, you had told me this. You had tickets for this show in 2020, but then one of the sets I returned to, so I could go instead to get tickets for Mohegan. Yeah, and we really look forward to seeing you at Mohegan, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, everything will be good to go for that show. There'll be no issues with that show still taking place. And I think you made the right choice. I would go to a 2-night stand, or even 1 night of a 2-night stand over this show. Let me just pull up real quick. We're going to show you. We're going to put side by side. And this is where I say, look, you want to talk about, DTE. This is the set from 2019. And the only song I'll maybe say is that I personally like over anything from tonight's show is Sugar Will. I love Sugar Will. That's the one song I would put over. But here's the thing. When you look at this set, all right, you have a Stay Closer, right? You still have a Granny. You have a Cornbread. You got a Sledgehammer cover. Don't need that. You have a Can't Stop as well. You have an Everyday, but you have a You and May, as I call it. And you have a Do You Remember in Louisiana Bayou. I mean, what show are you taking? I'm taking Tonight over 2019. To your left is Over Here. To the far left is Tonight. To the far right is the same venue on a Tuesday. And this was not before Deer Creek Weekend. The show after this Tuesday show from 2019 was a Toronto, Canada show. But you got Bayou, Do You Remember, You and Me, Sledgehammer. You have all these songs that I think Tonight was better because you didn't have as many bathroom break songs. You didn't have songs that you write home about per se, but I take a Funny the Way It Is over Louisiana Bayou. You have a Rhyme and Reason. Dude, that's rare. They played Rhyme and Reason 4 times. So that's the thing is on a Tuesday, you got a Rhyme and Reason, right? I take that over Cornbread. I'd rather have Tim shredding on Rhyme and Reason. Well, I'd rather have Tim on acoustic guitar, but it is what it is. I think Tonight was better than the last show they had at this venue. Okay, so Poketino TV just heading to SPAC Night 2 and MSG Night 2 this year. I've been to 52 shows since 01. It's not the same anymore. Bring back the violin. I like Buddy, but he doesn't add much in my opinion. Okay, and that's the thing is you're taking the right course of action. You're saying forget all these side chick shows. I want the main chicks, which is SPAC Night 2 and MSG Night 2. You're going to get 2 of the best shows, non-gorge shows of the tour between those 2 shows, arguably, And then you said Dave and Tim sets are usually great. I don't know why Dave does not play some of the songs with the band. 17 D&T shows were great. I agree. Here's my thing with Dave and Tim. I think that it's something with a lot of it, like, for instance, a lot of 2-steps for 17. Carter with 2-step, and other band members aren't as ambitious to play other stuff or play certain material. I agree. Dave and Tim, you get a whole different mindset. So it's not just Dave Matthews, unless he just doesn't feel comfortable playing certain stuff. I mean, you get, like, for instance, And Another Thing for that's played with Dave and Tim, but it hasn't been played full band in ages, right? I think it was played Dave and Friends era, but So yeah, the thing is, I that's why I would love to see more Dave and Tim shows than full band shows, because any given night in a Dave and Tim show, you're getting a solid set. And Tim Reynolds is on guitar, acoustic guitar, not electric. So that's just how I would. So that's just how I feel. Let's see if we got everything. Okay, so we're gonna bring in John. We'll get back to some questions, things like that. I want to bring in John because it is getting late It's 11:15 Eastern, 10:15. We're gonna bring in the homie John Dix to talk Deer Creek. And let's see. All right, how you doing, John?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on this evening.
I'm doing well. Were you? Looks like you were sleeping through the set.
Ah, yeah, that set put me to sleep. Yeah, nothing about it was special.
All right, so you are heading to Deer Creek. What's going through your mind right now as we approach night zero for Deer Creek?
I have zero expectations. I do think that we'll get a few more tour debuts between the both nights. Maybe a guest. Have we had? We've only had what one guest so far this tour.
Yep, Mr. Marsalis.
Yeah, I was at that show. Yeah, that was at the Raleigh show, right? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So we might get a. I think we may get a guest this weekend. Who I don't know. Just speculating. But I think we'll get a couple bust outs. I don't think it's gonna be off the wall crazy. Like you're not gonna get like a 7-8 song run. But have you noticed like the first three songs of every show have been like solid runs, and then that fourth spot it's like hit or miss, and then like the by the seventh or eighth song the show just goes off the rails almost.
Oh yeah, I mean, even just the first half of a set, it's been a tale of two. Now you've had some shows where the ending they had a couple nice things at the end, but yeah, the first couple songs, but even just the first half of a show, you're getting the best from the band. And matter of fact, if you left the show early, you probably didn't miss anything special so far.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of curious that we're heading to our first real major venue of the tour, which is Deer Creek. I've been to I haven't missed Deer Creek since 2015. Um, the best Deer Creek show that I was at was Night 206 Dreaming Tree in the encore when half the venue walked out. Uh, but I'm hoping for a good weekend and good posters.
Yeah. And so, and yeah, Deer Creek, the sets that I've seen, they never disappoint from just afar.
Yeah, we got Let
Um,
You Down. We got the Let You Down Liberation in 2015.
right, the two
Yeah,
sets acoustic.
yeah, we
Yeah.
got that, and then we always get a Stone or, you're guaranteed to get good stuff. I've never been to a bad Deer Creek show, never, and I've been going to Deer Creek since '06. You'll never get a bad. You're always going to get some surprises. Dave really loves the venue. It's a great atmosphere as well. I always tell people that if you've never been to Deer Creek, you got to go. It's the energy, the atmosphere. It's probably my second favorite venue behind Alpine. Alpine is probably the best premier venue far as DMB, far as his energy, set list, and being around knowledgeable fans. It's a huge difference going to like a show in Atlanta on a Tuesday and then going to a Friday, Saturday show at Deer Creek or Alpine, just by the people that you're around and things like that. So the venue does make a huge difference on what kind of set you're going to get because I know that Dave is very cognizant of where he's playing at.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where I think tonight, you get a show that, they have, they don't go too crazy because Clarkston, Michigan is not going to react to a Dreaming Tree as crazy as Deer Creek. And we also have here Seth Berry says night one of Deer Creek in 2015. He said it was one of the best shows that he ever saw. And I'm just trying to pull that up here to see what take a look to see what that show was.
I don't remember. It's been so long.
Oh, here, night one of Deer Creek, you had Boa and Pig in the encore.
Wow.
You had a Liberation of Hunger for the Great Light, Rooftop right before it, I Did It after it. So they had a I Did It. Nancy's Warehouse, Drunken Soldier, You and Me. That was the electric set. The acoustic set is where they had that Let You Down. So that was where Let You Down was the partial. They did the partial Let You Down there, and I think they did in Alpine because you were at both of those, right? You were at Alpine and Deer
Yeah.
Creek 50. Yeah. So yeah, that was in the Stone acoustic. 9 of 12 for that one, which that year I saw the Stone acoustic, which was great. And thank you we got some new people coming in here as well. Ron from Colorado, aka Typical Times, and Michael Ledbetter. And so, and the other thing too is with Deer Creek, they actually sell out most of the lawn ahead of time. Because one of the things that you have, you'll have other venues sell out without a lawn or a smaller lawn. But to me, one thing I've noticed when I look at the sales on antsmarching.org forums, shout out to the folks there, I see that Deer Creek has the highest number count to the capacity, and it sells more of the lawn. So do you notice the lawn there too is more rowdy or more fuller or at all?
The lawn at Deer Creek, is crazy. The lawn on a Friday show at Alpine is pretty crazy. Um, it's a different beast. That's the only way I can really describe it. When Alpine used to be Saturday, Sunday, if you go back and look, Alpine used to be on Saturday, Sunday, and like the Saturday show would be like crazy packed, and then the Sunday show would be like half people there. It was like night and day as far as the amount of people that would come to that Sunday show. But yeah, the lawns at those venues, Nissan in Bristow has a pretty large lawn too.
Okay. And I wish you could have gotten to Hartford because Hartford's lawn is 22,000 people.
Yeah, Hartford, Bristow, they're in Alpine. I think are three of the larger amps that the DMB plays or used to play.
Right. Yeah. But that Hartford lawn can fit a whole arena.
Yeah.
So, but and even before I was going in the 2000s, we had 2 riots in 99 and 2000. So it was like a college football tailgate.
I always heard people say it was the kids from Rhode Island that was always causing the trouble.
Probably they have really crappy roads. They're they're the small state, so they they have that. They got to always fight because they got the Napoleon complex. But yeah, it was. I mean, I literally I couldn't go to shows down there. It didn't matter. They would have Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine. People go wild. They would have whatever was there, right? Hootie and the Blowfish opened up that first year. But this is back in the mid 90s. From the mid 90s to the early 2000s, it was a party. It was a right because we don't have college football. We lost hockey. Those tailgates was the thing to do in New England that weekend. And then the cops cracked down. Still great crowds through the mid 2000s. I went in 2012. It was still packed. But the cops kind of after 2000, 2001, they started, they wasn't playing. You was going to get that work. They were, they weren't taking the fires that were the tire fires and all that after the early 2000s. So.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. That's ridiculous.
Okay. And then Michael Ledbetter says they should bring back Let You Down in an encore and then go into 2-step. Highly unlikely, but hey, if they do it, they do it. Talking Tune says Pig will debut this weekend. I wouldn't be shocked if a Pig is played. You're gonna get the Stone, like you said. You'll get a surprise or two. I think, like you said, it's best, like you said, to go into this weekend not expecting anything, because even with the amazing things they're doing with the band, like the band itself, you can't. You're not gonna get all of these 50 liberations in 2 nights.
What's the most liberations for a non-tour debut has there been on there?
A non-tour debut. I know the Hartford, because that's tough, because I know Hartford 2010 was crazy.
I think I was at a show that had the most liberations. I could be wrong, but look up Blossom 2016.
16.
Yeah, I was at this show. It was so cold. But I think we had like 7 liberations, I think, from that show or some nonsense. Not maybe not liberations, but we had like 4 liberations and maybe 2 tour debuts in the middle of the tour. And there were trash ones. There were trash. It wasn't like they're bringing out fire. It was like trash stuff too.
Oh, is that because they played Halloween a lot at the well, this one doesn't have Halloween.
No, not in
Are you talking
2016.
about are you talking about tour debuts or liberations?
Both.
Okay, because this show doesn't have, we can add it in here as a, this show has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is from 2016.
Yeah, it was like a middle of the week. It was like a middle of the week show, like in the middle of the tour. It was like a little crazy to have that many.
Yeah. And you had a stolen away full band. Michael also says, I want to hear Captain and Monkey Man. Captain is one of my favorite D&B songs. The crowd doesn't react to it. They don't react to it. But it is one of my favorite. And I think that's where Tim Reynolds shines. Captain is a song where he has this nice, clean electric guitar. It's
Especially the
jazzy.
reprise.
Yep, in the reprise. Were you at that show?
Yes, I was.
That, oh my God, that is and this is the thing that I think Deer Creek and Alpines. I've heard the live tracks and the warehouse bonus disc. The Fool to Think reprise and the Captain reprise, and even just the So Right where Dave is on fire. Those 3 songs are what make, when I talk about the potential of this current formation, or the Boyd era, the end days of Boyd post Roy, those 3 songs, So Right, Captain, and Fool to Think, those are songs played frequently at the Alpines and Deer Creeks. Those 3 songs, when they're extended or when Dave is feeling it, is the best thing that this new band does. That's where you want the wall of sound. That's where you have the electric guitar fitting in. That's just how I feel. I think that's the best. That's what you get. That's the best part of this formation. Is that so yeah, and so we're gonna, what is it? Michael says Fool to Think and So Right are possibly my favorite from Every Day. Talking Tunes
Every Day is such an underrated album.
Oh, absolutely. And I've said this in probably every 5 streams I mentioned. Every Day is also, it fits the band the best. And even at, like, now, how do you feel about the Buddy Strong Every Day? How do you feel about that?
It does nothing for me. It does nothing for me. It's no better than Boyd on the wah wah pedal. Does nothing for me.
So the crowds, it's interesting because that's a song where the violin, even though I didn't like the I never was a fan of the Every Day with with Boyd. So
Yeah.
but what's interesting is the crowd loves the organ. Now on the forums, and I agree, the forums, they don't like the organ. The hardcores don't like I like piano for Buddy, but that song has become Buddy's song, and it's actually a song that if you're at the show, they go wild.
Yeah, I'm not even in my seat at that point. I'm out walking around wandering.
Gotcha. So, but yeah, they're going nuts. Seth Berry says, what do you think of the 2021 Jimmy? I think I heard it one Friday night. I don't need it. Honestly, Jimmy thing is like, if you guys ever saw the Dave Chappelle Wrap It Up, there's the Wrap It Up little flashing light. That's my issue with Jimmy. Jimmy thing, if it was 6 minutes long, 6 to 8 minutes long, like it used to be, like at its origin, if it was that long, I still wouldn't be like, oh, I have to hear it every show. But the problem is it takes up so much of the show, and I know there's that new cover. Oh yeah, did I need a new drug? Whatever. I don't care. I
It's not
don't
that
need
good.
it.
It's not good either. And the thing about it was, I'm like, y'all practice this? Why? Like, who asked for this? And I know Stefan teased it like back in April or whatever.
Yeah.
But who asked for that? Like, practice on Dreaming Tree, practice Pig, practice Busted Stuff,
Yeah.
Kit Kat Jam.
But again, the crowd, and this is the thing: when there's certain artists, right? So there's certain artists that do covers, and but that's their thing because they don't necessarily have the material, right? There's certain artists that they're not as good, so but to get people engaged as an opener, they'll do a cover. Oh, look at that cover! Oh, it's awesome. DMB is way too good for a cover. Like
Yeah,
DM,
I don't understand like like if they took Jimmy thing and just trimmed it down. Like I don't need the sexy MF. I don't need any of that. I don't need the for what it's worth. Now if they brought it back. Like I didn't mind Jimmy thing in like '03, like from 2000 to '04 when Dave used to do like the guitar solo on it.
oh, I love that. I love that the acoustic jam that he does
Yeah,
where he
without the scat, I don't care for the scat either.
yeah, I don't need it. But
Yeah, I don't
that,
need it. But the song in general, I don't need the song at all now. And like I'm glad they played it tonight, so that's a good chance we might get out of it for Deer Creek.
well, you want get Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't get it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But and that's the thing about that's where I think about when I look at a show like tonight, one of the silver linings is the fact that there's no covers. And I mentioned it on Twitter earlier. I said, like, I have there's a mask mandate. I'm like, there needs to be a mandate for DMB to not play covers for the rest, due to COVID, for the health and safety of our community. Let's not do any covers. And one of the things I said is, even the covers I like, I don't need them. I don't. This band has so much of a catalog that it's a waste. Any Sledgehammer is and I love Peter Gabriel. Live in Athens is one of my favorite live albums ever of any artist. I put it in my top 10. Now, again, granted, I have so much music I'm still listening to every year. But to me right now, Live in Athens is in my top 10 of live albums that I've actually dissected from artists. But I don't want Sledgehammer. I love Neil Young. I hope to see him at Farm Aid, fingers crossed. He is one of my favorite artists as a guitar player. I don't want even Cortez. I don't need Cortez. I mean, yeah, it'd be cool if Warren comes up. I don't need Cortez. I don't need Down by the River, right? The Needle and the Damage Done. I don't need these songs.
I'll take that. I'll take Hey Hey My My. I'll take that. And I would like to see them bring back Salisbury Hill.
Oh, from Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Nope, I don't need it. Hey, Dave, you have a solo album. Remember Trouble, Dodo? Remember that album you wrote in 2000? Was that 03?
It came out with Lee Road like in 02.
Yeah, but like, hey, Dave, you remember that album that you wrote that has, like, honestly, that album helped me through the hardest breakup of my life.
He was like, hey, I played Gravedigger and So Damn Lucky. What else do you want from me?
Right. But like Trouble and Another Thing, like there's so many, like those songs are so, and I know it's like it's Dave Solo, but the Dave Solo band is not far off from what the band is now.
This is basically Dave and Friends.
Yeah, it is.
It is Dave and Friends, basically.
Yeah, so that's why I think, but I mean, overall, we'll see what happens. But thanks, John. I don't want to keep you on.
Yeah, I'm getting you on, and I do appreciate you having me on. And I'll definitely hit you back up on Friday after the first show.
All right. Well, that's John Dix. Thank you again. Take care. Peace.
Thank you.
All right. But yeah, so I mean that's my I think Michael says I'd rather witness Neil on Gravedigger and Too High. Willie Nelson has a collab with Dave with Gravedigger. I think he did his own version. I remember listening to, I can't remember if it was just Dave and him, but yeah, but I mean that would be a cool collab. But I'm talking more like the Neil Young covers that the band does. Talking Tune says I'll take the Blackbird cover. That's cool. But again, if I'm like a coach, again, if I'm a coach and if I'm a football coach and we have X amount of time in pads to practice certain things, to me, that's not part of the game plan. Right? It's not to say that it's not a great cover, but in this era where we have less 2-night stands, or we have less overall shows, I'm working on the Dave and the Dave Matthews Some Devil stuff. I'm working on some of the unreleased '04 stuff. I'm working on some other stuff. Oh, Willie played Gravedigger in '08. Okay, yeah, there was a actually John, who just left, was at that show. That was at like a baseball field. It was like a minor. I think it was in. Let me see if I can find that. I think that was in like Kentucky. Let me see if I can find that. Louisville. Yeah, Louisville Slugger Field. Pull this up. Boom. Yep. Gravedigger. As you guys can see, I have a good memory because John showed me this show like earlier this year. But yep, it was Gravedigger, Willie Nelson guest, and he opened up. Roy didn't play due to injury. He had that ATV accident, but Willie Nelson opened up, and I'm looking forward to seeing Willie for at Farm Aid if everything goes well. Too High. Oh yeah. So Michael says Too High. I agree. Yeah, Too High is another good song from that album. Okay, and Talking to Susan, if you wanted to see a cover, it would be Blackbird, right? Yeah. I mean, hey, that's a good song. You know, that thing bangs, you know. It's like I love, like, that's probably one of my favorite songs. Pinball Wizard. Like when I learned guitar, I wanted to learn the intro to Pinball Wizard. And then Blackbird. It's been a while. And then I used to play Paper Shoes by Incubus. This used to be my warm-up exercise. I used to be doing that finger style back in my college days. All right, anyway, yeah. A little bit rusty. I need to practice guitar more. I've been slipping lately. But anyway, yeah, so I want more Dave Matthews, less covers. Now, I play covers because I'm not a good songwriter like Dave Matthews. So that's why I play covers. That's what I learned stuff. But man, he has such a great catalog. So we'll see what happens. A fan I saw I made a video. Check it out on YouTube. It's on my page about Rashawn and Jeff upset about some of the decisions. Thank you, Talking Tunes, like the finger style. I made a post. Now my anger was more about Jeff and Rashawn being upset at everyone in a way that's like, hey, I understand, right? Music could all be shut down. Like as I said on Saturday, I just checked again. There are people in Florida hospitals, but especially in Texas. Yeah, talking to yeah, that's why I saw that. Buddy took a fan. Now, to be fair, that fan was more distant from Buddy, and Buddy had his mask ready to pull up after the picture. And I mean, he didn't say no, right? That's his choice. My thing is Jeff and Rashawn were full out like, come on, guys, don't mess this up. And we see Dave in the woods in Raleigh taking pictures with a couple of fans. And now, is he checking everyone for a vaccination card? I doubt it. Maybe backstage. But I mean, my thing is, if the fact that Jeff and Rashawn are all like gung ho about this, but the band is taking pictures of people. Jeff was pictured a couple weeks ago with somebody. That was my only issue. And I had a rant, but at the end of the day, the band's gonna do what they want to do. Like if Buddy's okay with taking that picture, that's on him. He isn't Jeff. He isn't Rashawn. And Seth, yeah. So Dead and Co. Now here's the thing with Dead and Company, because I've been following this. I had posted on Twitter. Dead and Company, but before the tickets went on sale, when they announced their tour, the pit for Dead and Company, and again, these shows weren't rescheduled. Dead and Company canceled their 2020 shows and made a whole new set of shows with a whole new set of tickets. So everything was refunded and canceled from 2020. 21, they do an on sale. And in the language for the pre-sale, for the Ticketmaster verified fan, in the regular on sale, any moment after that, the whole general admission pit, the thing was this: you have to show proof of vaccination. If you do not have proof of vaccination and you have a pit ticket the day of the show, if you don't have enough credentials, you will be removed from the pit area entrance and you will be relocated, which I'm guessing to the lawn or somewhere further back. So Dead and Company, now what they added on is that everyone, no matter who you are entering the venue, you have to have a negative test or you have to have a vaccination card or a picture of it. And check for your local venue, call your local venue, because every venue, even New York City with Madison Square Garden, they are not requiring a vaccination passport. Let me make that clear. They are not saying you need a passport where your health data is being uploaded to an app. Me personally, I do not feel comfortable putting my information on a third-party app for medical reasons. Everything and my medical stuff stays with my healthcare plan. That's me, plain and simple. Right now, that's where I am. Will that change? I don't know. But I am physically bringing a vaccination card. I have a picture of my card on my phone. So, because some venues, like in New Haven, Connecticut, where I down, 45 minutes from where I live, a venue there is saying if you have a picture of your Vax card, they will take a picture as long as it's legible, and they're going to check your ID. Other venues, they want that physical copy or a negative test. So just let me be clear. There is no venue that I know of, August 11th, 2021, 11:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that says you have to have an application that takes your personal health data or grabs some of it. The venues here are showing that the Vax card or a test for most of those. MSG is the only venue. New York City is the only place where starting next month, you're going to need September 13th. You're going to actually, for indoor events, you're going to need proof of vaccination. Doesn't have to be in the passport app. You can have your card, but for indoor stuff. Seth, this is biggest worry is how much extra time it's going to take. That was my concern about how they were going to execute this at the beginning of the summer. Obviously, not most venues did not do this. Some did. The ones um, I went to Madison Square Garden for a Knicks game, playoff game, and but it was like they had the staffing. Um, I also went to, yeah, that was only one, yeah, because I went to a social distance show, but they didn't check for negative tests. Did they check a Vax card? I don't think they did for either show I went to. But yeah, so I mean, the main thing is we're going to have to get to the gates early. That's the reality. I think, though, that with the understanding that these are the protocols, people are going to try to get in early. Um, it's in when I went to Madison Square Garden, what they did was, I mean, really, when they're looking at your Vax card, they're just looking at they're looking to compare your ID to your Vax card. So it shouldn't take that much longer. And matter of fact, what'll happen is some of these lines, yes, it will take longer, but they'll have ways to split up each step of the thing. So you get the vaccination or negative test, and then they hold people there, and then they slowly funnel you in for security, because security is still the slowest thing. Once you, because they got to check your bag, this and that, and the clear bag policy is making it easier for security, so that'll help. So you missed Spoon at Deer Creek because they were taking so long. Yeah, I mean, the reality is this, and the older I get, the quicker I get in. When I was in college, I used to stay out for the tailgate more and all that stuff. Especially for these weekend shows, just plan, right? DMB gets on at 7:45 local time, wherever you are. For the Gorge, they're going to have the openers. Just plan. But I mean, ultimately, people get there late regardless. Some of you guys like me, sometimes there's some midweek shows that I have to scramble to after work, or I leave work at 3:00 to get to New York or Boston, and I'm just getting there. But like at the end of the day, you just got to have time. You just got to know that, just plan for an extra 25 to 30 minutes. I remember going to a Yankees Red Sox game, and this was the day after the Nice bombings in Paris. Someone drove a truck. Remember, it was 4th of July weekend, I believe, or a little after. It was July something. And they drove a truck into a crowd, and it killed, tragically killed some people. I went to a Yankee stadium. I did not get into the game until like the second inning, because it took like 45 minutes to an hour to get into the venue, because they had trucks. They shut down all these streets. They had sand trucks blocking every roadway so that no one tried to pull the same stunt. So I know what it's like to, the day after this attack, Yankee Stadium, and I was in 6th grade when 9/11 happened. My whole life, the Boston bombing, I went to the Boston Marathon like 5 or 6 years in a row as a kid. So I've been living in Connecticut. There's been 2 major incidents, as 9/11 obviously being one of the biggest incidents of my lifetime at age 30 now, 6th grade when it happened, and then the Boston bombing. These changed the security process. So I've been through this stuff where Mansfield had clear bag policies. Road races of 10, 15,000 runners had clear bag policies, bag check. You had to, there was a slow bag check for this race because they were checking every single thing in your bag in a clear bag. So I've been through these changes. COVID is just another thing that's happened for me personally, because I've been to Madison Square Garden after 9/11. Things changed there for their security. And depending on what happened, or depending on if there was a terrorist attack or mass shooting, you go to New York City events, they crack down. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to talk about, and then this will be it for today, unless anyone has any comments. If you guys didn't see, Jason Isbell went to the Woodlands, suburb north of Houston. Now, it's about an hour out of the city, because I've been down to Houston. The Woodlands is a ways, it's an hour drive or so from the heart of, depending on where you are in the city. But that's where DMB has started their tours. They go to Dallas or Houston and Dallas. They've started their tours, or had the beginning of their tour go through Texas. The Cynthia, let me see if I can. Is it the Cynthia Mitchell? Oh no, Cynthia Woods Pavilion. Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. Sorry, these names change so much. Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. Okay. Jason Isbell said, look, last weekend, he said that starting last weekend, he was in Austin, Texas. So he was in Texas already. And he told the venues, look, if you can't have a system where you check vaccination cards or negative COVID tests, I'm not playing. Austin city limits the theater there in Austin. I think it's the Moody Theater, ACL Live. They had 3 shows where they were able to do this without issue. Now the venue outside of Houston, Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion, that venue is bigger, right? It's bigger than ACL Live, right? You got 16,000, 1,500. But that venue did not. Essentially, they didn't get things ready for the show yesterday, and Jason Isbell canceled the show. So it was, essentially there was, the kicker is the owner of, or the management, the head person over the management of the venue, his daughter works for the local news, and his daughter kind of, reported like, hey, the venue didn't have enough time, they're understaffed. She was defending the venue. Now she's a news reporter that essentially was reporting and not disclosing to us readers, people on Twitter, that she knows her family runs the venue, but she kind of was trying to defend the venue. And essentially Jason, called out the venue and said, look, it's not about being understaffed. Y'all didn't make any measures for this show. And this is Sally McDonald. Let me pull this up. And if you see, it says the Pavilion Statement doesn't say they weren't willing to comply. It says they couldn't implement a change like that on short notice. Like everywhere else, they're short staffed too. And then Jason was like, bruh, he was like, stop the cap. Stop the cap. You're trying to defend your family. And he said, no. Essentially, Jason just said, no, that's not true. The venue didn't comply. And then here she is. I didn't see this. This was earlier today. And now after she got caught, Sally McDonald, who again, her family, her dad manages this venue. He's one of the decision makers. It was not my intention to mislead anyone about my family connection to the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. I posted the Pavilion Statement and just wanted to get more information out. I was never assigned by Fox 26 to cover this story and did not report it on air. So she wasn't even the reporter for this, but Papa was like, hey, Sally, can you help me out and kind of do some damage control? Just spin this. Just bring this statement out. And but Jason like, bruh, stop the cap. Your father runs this venue, and they were not willing to comply. And this is the record company. They said, unfortunately, the venue was not willing to comply with the band's updated health and safety standards. And my thing is this. 2020, I work now. Again, I'm not a healthcare worker, but I volunteer throughout this pandemic. I've been a mentor to young men in my community. Most of them don't have fathers. And but I'm saying is I have done what it takes to still be a role model to kids, to teach lessons over Zoom. I've seen teachers do the same thing. I've seen other people, I've seen counselors do virtual training. 2020 taught everybody, even in my personal career, the adjustments I had to make. I went back to a office as a test pilot, to go back to an office during the middle of a pandemic when it's still, you could argue, but I was not vaccinated and I went back to an office. And that was my personal choice. I said, I'll do it. But I don't say that stuff. I say that to say that if you really want to make a difference, if you really want to learn from this pandemic in 2020, 2021, everyone came into this new year with an idea of expect the unexpected. So we've known since last year that there's always a possibility that we could go back and things could get worse again, right? The idea was the vaccination was to do all this stuff, and it in many ways it saved lives, right? It's definitely saved lives. And I've seen people die of, not seen people personally, but I've had family members, this thing has hit them. Elderly family members, it's hit them. Younger friends, it's hit them. And most of them survived. But the point is, this venue should have had a contingency plan, just like a terrorist attack. And I know, what is it? Michael says 9/11, mom called, woke me up. I turned on the TV, saw the second airplane hit the TV. I was sleeping, 22, sleeping on the mattress floor in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So yeah, so like everyone remembers where they were September 11th. But what happened was, and this is it's a different idea, but it's a time point where we can say the world changed forever. From that day forward, we had protocols in the to say this is how our new life is. We're gonna fight to have a life where we don't have to worry about this, and we're gonna stop this from trying to ever happen again. But here are the protocols that the police had, that schools had, that emergency services had. The whole New York City, the NYPD. My hockey coach went down to 9/11. Down to the World Trade Centers with his canine that he had, and dug out the rubble. People learned from this. People learned from COVID, and there are contingency plans that, okay, if this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. This venue should have had a plan to, if this happens, this was likely to happen again, right? Some sort of surge of this. It was a possibility. They should have had people on standby. I don't care. Listen, again, there's no excuse if you don't have these contingency plans. Don't open up your venue. Just like certain restaurants, they're not. I know there's restaurants around here that they don't even have an open dining room right now. They're still doing takeout because they couldn't hire enough college kids or hire enough people to safely be ready in case things got worse as they are right now. They're going back. So they said, look, we're only doing takeout. Some businesses closed. If the venue could not operate with this idea that here's our contingency plan on a dime's notice, because you know what? Like when I went to Yankee Stadium the day after the Nice attacks, no one had ever thought to put sand trucks at major entrances to a ballpark, or Boston Marathon, the Boston, like these things were done like that. The next day after the Nice terrorist attack, I go to a baseball game, Yankees, Red Sox in the Bronx. The next day, they found sand trucks, garbage trucks, and they blocked areas so every pedestrian did not have to worry about a car crashing into them in the middle of the exits of every portion of the venue. Now, yes, does this venue have the NYPD's budget? No. But the only difference is you have a couple of people at each entrance checking COVID cards or checking negative tests. You should have had a plan after what happened in 2020. Because guess what? This venue lost money. I hope DMB doesn't come back here next year. If this is how poorly ran or how ignorant or how stupid this venue is, they don't deserve business. I'm sorry, they don't deserve. And you know how they hurt? They hurt the local economy, right? The local economy. There was probably restaurants that would have been packed after, packed before, right? Parking. A lot of businesses, they have parking, things like that. Some hotels, I'm sure some hotels who had, like, if there was cancellations, now some people had to just bite the bullet. But if some people would have had last minute hotels, or they had free cancellation up to like the day of the event, people canceled those hotels. These and I know we're free, we're this. This is about freedom. You don't have to be vaccinated. But you got to have, but the venue has to comply. The venue has to say, okay, we got to figure out, because guess what? In Austin, Texas, they had no issue. And they had 3 shows in a row. Can you imagine that? They only had 1 show in the Woodlands. And they say Houston Tech, but again, it's an hour. It's in a different county. It's a county north of Harris County. So I say all that to say that hopefully these venues are better prepared. And I listen, it's a good thing that's a good thing. I know some of the Texas folks are bummed to have to go to Oklahoma and some other, or Arkansas. But guess what? This venue, if this was your home venue, imagine trying to go to DMB. You're pumped up. You're seeing all these shows. They're bringing back Sweet and Sweet Up and Down, and they're doing all this stuff. And this is your hometown show. You've been waiting since 2019 to see DMB. And you get a call because DMB says, look, we want vaccination proof or a negative test. You're out. Let's say you flew to Houston for this show for DMB. It would have been the same thing if DMB decided to make these changes. So anyway, I say all that to say that this was another big story, and DMB is letting the venues make the choice. The Summerfest in Milwaukee, the Marcus Amphitheater, has they have things in place for those shows for negative testing or COVID cards. Columbia, Maryland, Merriweather Post Pavilion, same thing. They have that. Madison Square Garden, because it's indoors in New York, with things effective in September forward to further notice, you have to have proof of vaccination because it's an indoor event. That's where we're at. It may change, right? If this thing goes down, it could change. That's where we're at right now. And DMB is just letting the chips fall where they may. That is their strategy right now. They're letting, if a venue has if the venue comes out and says this is their protocol, DMB is going to say, hey, yep, we agree. But they're not arguing. And I think one of the things that may be holding back DMB from making their own policy, if this venue is doing this, who knows what Arkansas is doing? Who knows what other venues on the tour, like Deer Creek, may be telling them, no, we're not going to switch it over, right? So they're just going to say, look, we want to get this show played. We're not going to argue. We encourage our fans to get vaccinated or wear masks. But I think that's another thing too, is you could have a Deer Creek that's saying, look, we're not doing this. We're not going to mandate this over this weekend, just like Houston. But this is one of the biggest weekends in DMB touring for this summer. So they're just I think they're going to let things be as they are. If you are camping at Deer Creek, please get there early. There was a fiasco with Fish where there were certain issues with so many people trying to get into camping and people had to get relocated. Get to the campground as early as possible. If you are camping, have a backup plan. Just, even though hotels may be limited, just have a backup plan. And I would get to any camping, get there early, because Fish had 3 shows and it may have just been Fish because, again, as much as DMB has Deer Creek's a big venue for that, Fish is, they have 3 nights and people will travel for Fish more because there's less Fish shows. But I mean, both of these are big weekends for Deer Creek. So I would just say, if you have camping, check with the wherever you're assigned for camping, get there early so you can make sure you have a spot. But there was a little bit of an issue with Fish there last weekend. They had Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Deer Creek. And some great shows from what I heard out there for Fish. But I will see you guys on Friday. And I will see you guys on Saturday for Deer Creek. So we have the 13th and the 14th of August. And then just to give you an update, after this show today, I was going to go to Syracuse next week. I still don't know. So I may be here. If I'm not at the show, I'm going to do an after show. But I will be at Mansfield on Friday. Saturday, I will not be at Merriweather Post Pavilion. So I will most likely be doing a show Saturday night to just go over that. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I see about 6-7 people stayed for the whole hour on a Wednesday night into a Thursday morning. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for checking out my stuff. Thank you guys for sharing your opinions. No matter what you think, if you disagree, you agree. I appreciate everything. It's your boy Conserviz 34. You guys have a wonderful night. Peace.